Hello, everyone. Welcome to a professionally unprofessional podcast. I'm joined once again by my good friends Reese and Elliot, and first time ever on this podcast, Ren's joined us.
Hey, hello. I'm here. I am here.
All I could say is, if Elliot sounds mad partway through this podcast, it's because he's playing the game that we're discussing today.
I'm not fighting Melania, so I think there's no worries about that.
Are you playing it right now?
Yeah.
Literally right now.
Okay. I was doing it this morning. You saw my tweet.
Yes, we sent a tweet out this morning abusing each other over who.
Also, you say, is there a more obnoxious duo? Oh, we forget about the god skin.
No, I specified early game. Yeah. But if anything, Cal and I are late game bosses. I would say we're raid bosses.
So
no, let's be honest. Calvin's that tutorial boss.
Yeah, Cal's told Godric.
Fuck all y'all. So obviously today we're discussing Elden Ring's 1 year anniversary. We missed the 1 year anniversary on the day because of our schedules. So,
however, we did do it in time for the release of Wulong Fallen Dynasty, and two, the Switch's 6th anniversary.
Yeah, that's ironic. And
which Elden Ring is not on.
Now, admittedly, there's obviously we obviously did get what we didn't realize with changing our schedule is we were going to be doing this podcast on the day, basically, the week of the DLC announcement.
Hence my background image.
Yeah, the Reese actually changed the background.
The background image that the viewers cannot see.
And mine's just in.
You three can.
Well, the
mine's literally just Luthadel from Mistborn. Hi, both three of you who know what that is.
So, okay, here's a I think we need to establish. Really, this podcast is more going to be about the idea of how does it feel to play this? How does this game feel 1 year after release? Like, it's because it's been a huge impact of a game. It's one game of the year. It's sold, but I think it's one of Bandai Namco's best-selling games of all time.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of I think it is FromSoft's best-selling game of all time.
It depends. It depends on how much the first Dark Souls game sold.
Let me double check.
I think prior to certainly before Sekiro, Dark Souls 3 was the highest seller. It sold more than Bloodborne. I know that much.
Yeah, because there was a chart floating around the bar graph. And I think Elden Ring has sold the most now.
Damn.
Let me double check. Yeah, no, it is Elden Ring, I believe. Let me double check that to be safe, because yeah, no, it is FromSoft's best-selling game of all time now.
What's second? Is it Dark Souls 3?
It is Dark Souls 3. Yeah, Dark Souls 3 is the next best-selling one. So, obviously that begs the question. How do we feel about Elden Ring 1 year later? And I should stress we've all beaten it on multiple occasions.
Yes.
I've only beaten it once.
With the exception of Elliot.
I've beaten it once, sorry.
No, you haven't. You've beaten it twice.
3 times.
Reese beaten it 3 times.
Actually, Ren beat it once, Reese has beaten it 4 times.
Oh, no, sorry, no, I have beaten it twice because on stream as well. Although, if you can call...
Again, that was Reese beating that one, not you.
Yes, actually, fair play.
I recently beat 2 bosses for him.
No, he didn't.
Oh yeah,
he beat like almost helped Ren in almost every endgame boss.
I was summoned, I think, over 6 times on stream.
And that doesn't include the number of times that Ren died.
To be fair, though, Ren did beat Melania on that one.
Yeah.
Not on his own.
But
I'm man enough to admit that.
So actually, that begs the question. I'll start with you, Elliot, since you've only been in the game once. How do you feel about Elden Ring 1 year later?
Still one of the best games I've ever played. Still one of my favorite FromSoft games. And the fact that I'm playing it literally right now is pretty much telling you that.
I mean, you did pick it for your game of the year when we did our awards.
Yeah, rightfully so. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I'll go to you next, Ren. How do you feel about Elden Ring 1 year after release?
fucking brilliant game. I haven't gone back to it so much, mainly because I think I was very mentally drained after having beaten Melania and also playing it again on stream. But overall,
it did take you I think well over half a year to beat it on stream, in all fairness.
Yeah, because we did it we started very close after the release date, I remember now.
I think probably I was, I don't know, worn out with it. So, but now coming back to it, I don't know, it still holds up. I think I was probably too harsh on it because of how much difficulty I had with certain aspects of the game. But coming back, it's been phenomenal, as you'd expect.
Now, Reese, I find your perspective very interesting because you are not into these kinds of games, but you took to it very quickly.
Yeah, I was the first one out of all of us to platinum the game.
You were the first one of us to beat it, I think, as well.
I think you beat it before me, though, didn't you, for the review?
No, I think it was Reese who beat it first.
No, I'm fairly convinced Reese got there first. Because I was asking you advice about the final boss and.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All that bit.
First from me, this game came out at the worst time because at the time I was looking after 7 crazy puppies.
Oh.
Yeah. No,
so I didn't get an insane amount of time to really that much time to play. I think I got like 40 hours by the time I just went, fuck it, I'm gonna have to write the review now. Can't wait any longer.
I also find it very interesting that me and Ren both have a perspective of beating the game on 2 different systems because we've both beaten it on PC and on PS5.
Well, I mean, I played it on PC.
Yeah, you have
for the review.
Yeah, you did the PC version for the review. Though you said like me after that version, you swapped to the PS5 version.
Yeah, because it's better.
Yeah, it is, and I had a really hard time explaining this to my biggest PC friend who plays only on PCs. That the PC version has fundamental issues with it.
Is that someone who watches your streams?
Occasionally, doesn't like me and Ren. What me and Ren say a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, him.
No, don't drag me into this, Cal.
No. He was tuning in for our Elden Ring stream, so I'll have that one on that one. But the fact of the matter is, I had a hard time explaining to him because he was like, "Well, why are you not sharing?" Because I was mentioning about the time I was trying to beat Melania Solo. I was saying, "Well, why are you not doing it on the PC?" And I'm saying, "Well, because the PS5 version runs better." And he's like, "No, I can't believe that."
Well, it does. Like a lot of Bandai Namco games, the PC ports are not as good as the console ones.
And that's happening.
Well, they're not normally at launch. A Dark Souls 3 PC port works perfectly fine now, for example.
Even today,
same with the Sekiro one.
Even today, when I was playing on the PC, I struggled with frame rate issues, just sometimes pausing. PS5, I don't recall that happening at all.
Yeah, no, the PS5 definitely runs a lot smoother. Weirdly, the ones that ran the smoothest at launch were the previous generation versions, the PS4 and Xbox One versions.
Maybe because they're trying to do less than the new gen stuff.
Yeah. Reduce the textures, reduce the draw distance, tax the system less.
What about the paint distance?
Oh, that is such a dumb joke.
What about charcoal distance?
Yeah, what about the oil painting distance?
What about the cubism distance?
What about something drop distance? What's that?
I'm ending this.
What
joke.
about the 3D image distance?
I am ending this joke
the
once
AIR
and for all.
distance.
So, speaking of but that's the thing. That was the thing though for me was once I swapped to the PS5 version, there was no going back.
Yeah.
And I will be. That being said, what sort of builds were you guys doing when you? What sort of builds do you guys like playing in this game?
Normally I go, just because I normally do that in Dark Souls, I went with the strength one for my first one. My first one was actually a guts build, which was fun.
Reese,
I have to put thought processes into my gameplay, so yeah, strength as well.
Yeah, you do a lot of strength builds. You did quite a few of them on stream as well. Reese, what about you?
So my first one was initially strength until I got to the Godskin duo, then switched to magic.
Yes.
And then just blitzed the end game because this was a pre-patch Godskin where they were more aggressive and way better AI.
Fuck that fight.
Yeah.
Pre-patch, that was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played it. I just thought, really, they struggle with this?
But after all the patches, you had
it's not, because it's not as tough.
Oh yeah,
after all the patches, Elliot. That's what we were just saying.
yeah, no,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
yeah. That's why
I'm
you
not
got.
disagreeing. I'm
Fucking...
just saying I didn't find it as difficult because I played it post patch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
played
think
it
it
post.
took me 2 attempts, and I played it post patch.
Yeah,
I
no.
thought it post patch.
Well, what was the funny thing was, my game got harder, because I went to bed the wrong time one time. It
What do you
got to
mean?
the final boss, and I thought I can do this in the morning because I had all my best stuff ready to go. Wake up in the morning, they've patched the game. All my best stuff has been nerfed.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Because the mimic tier was worse.
Got nerfed.
The mimic tier was worse. That frozen stomp was worse.
Yeah.
Everything was worse. Why did you
Oh
do
no! All of the mechanics that were abusable were patched.
Yeah. In other words, everyone when that patch came out, oh great, that means things are actually going to be a bit more balanced now. Calvin, no, I want it to be broken. I want the game to be
It's
easy.
the only way I can play.
It was the only way I
How dare they make the hard game hard?
It was annoying because I had just got through the god. That's the only way I got through the Godskin Duo because they were so fucking hard on that build. I'm kind of into deck. I thought I was going in for this game thinking I'm going to enjoy strength builds, but I ended up going more close to dexterity builds like the samurai.
In other words, you're the person that every Souls player hates.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's any joke that's consistent throughout the Souls community, it's been shitting on Dex users.
Yep, I am 100% that bitch.
I'll say that.
Because bleed was everywhere.
Oh yeah, no.
Meanwhile, I say that I'm currently making a Dex build.
I'm playing using bleed on my current playthrough. That's just because I found a really useful dagger early on.
Just katanas for me are just my favorite weapons in the game.
Weeaboo.
Fuck you! They are awesome weapons. I like
Weeb alert.
I like the faster weapons. I didn't really like the strength builds that they were going a bit slower than I would have liked.
Yeah,
I thought,
you like the faster weapons. Scimitars are a thing.
I know, but katanas are cooler.
That's true.
Hey, scimitars are my favorite swords. Don't do that to me.
So, actually, this brings us to another point. What do we think about the open world aspect to it? Because my thought process was once we know everything about this world, we're going to lose that sense of discovery, and it's not going to be as interesting to traverse it. But my opinion is it really does still work even on several playthroughs.
I think what really helps is having torrents to get across the open world faster. Once you know everything is.
Yeah. Torrent is pretty much very much a necessity in this game.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys though, how do you think FromSoft did a good job with the open world, like transferring that Dark Souls gameplay style to an open world setting?
I'll take this one as I'm the resident Souls fan. Yeah, very much so. They did a really good job with this.
I agree.
They basically taken the whole branching path thing and just went, okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to make it bigger. And holy hell, they did a fucking great job of that.
I think what really helps is that FromSoft rewards the player for exploring every inch of the land. Because there's always new armor, weapons, or spells, at least somewhere.
I remember when I entered Sea of River, I was just like, holy fuck, this is just amazing.
So that's something I found. One of the things I found.
Let's be honest, you feel rewarded until you go into Caleb the first time, and then you're just like, I regret this so much.
Yep.
I did not want to enter Junji Ito land.
So actually, on that note, I would say because this game's obviously been in development for a very long time. Do you think Breath of the Wild played an influence on this one? Because a lot of the good qualities in this open world feel very similar to a lot of the good qualities in Breath of the Wild, like that idea of you can just run into a boss or you can run into something interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd definitely say it feels a lot more like it just took inspiration from the Souls-likes beforehand, because that was very much an element in other Souls-likes. You could just find bosses at random moments.
Ren, what would you going to say, man?
What was the question?
Like, how do you think Breath of the Wild has played an influence on the development process?
I'm not really qualified to answer that question in all fairness, because I haven't actually
You've played obviously a couple of the Dark Souls games. You've played Bloodborne. You tried to play Dark Souls on an aeroplane after being very, very tired on your Switch, and failed miserably. So went back to Plants vs Zombies.
Yeah, because that was the most mundane routine thing that I could actually play at that moment.
And how do you feel with the open world aspect being added this time?
I think it worked really well, in all honesty. Hang on. Let me just gather my thoughts 1 sec.
This will take a while.
Sorry, having played now The Witcher a bit more, The Witcher 3, I can see that they took a lot from that as well. I agree completely with what you said, Elliot, about the branching path level design in Souls games playing a part. Because while the whole world is like open, it still feels like there's paths and directions that you should be taking at any given moment.
Like it feels like it's the open bit. While the world is definitely open, it definitely feels like when it comes to like exploring individual areas, they feel like soul areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Areas in like Souls games.
Like the it feels very different initially when you go into that open world, but once you get past Murgit and then you go into that area and you think, okay, this feels like a very traditional, that castle, it feels very like a traditional Souls location.
Yeah, exactly. I can definitely see that place. It doesn't feel like it's exclusive to Elden Ring. I can definitely see that in like Dark Souls 2, for example.
It gave me real flashbacks to the first place you go in Demon Souls.
What part did?
You know, the castle when you get past
Stormvale Castle.
Stormvale Castle. So because there was a lot of the fireballs really reminded me a lot of that environment, which they always get you on the first ambush because with the fire bombs. But then unless you're playing the PS5 version, in which case you have the DualSense controller warning you that that's going to happen.
In other words, Calvin used the exploits of the console to cheat.
That's not cheating.
Yes, it is.
No. Okay, I'm having this. There's actually a point to that later because I'm going to mention about one of my favorite aspects of the game is the new aspect of the new mechanics that were introduced was the spirits. That was one of my favorite aspects of it, especially considering that they really rewarded you for going out of your way to level them up. Like you could pick one that you really liked that suited what you wanted to do, and you could level it up. So, like in my case, it was things like the jellyfish and the mimic tier. You guys weren't as into the spirits, I don't think, as I was.
I just didn't use them as often. I kind of just because I'm more used to like Dark Souls, I kind of wanted to play it like I would a normal Souls game. I did use it sometimes, but not nearly as often as like you did.
What about you, Ren?
I think that they addressed a complaint, or not a complaint, but a concern of a lot of players have had for a while of games needing to be more accessible. And I think the spirits definitely aided in that.
Yeah, because they do add sort of like a mini non-multiplayer for if you don't have like good enough internet access to do the multiplayer.
Yeah, because you can still complete the game even if with a lot of Souls games, the skill level is rather high for them, and you can't always access the full game without someone carrying you. So it's useful to have spirits in that sense. That
being said, I do not agree with the opinion that it's an easy mode because I think like that
it makes the game easier, but it's not an easy mode.
It's easier.
Yeah, but yeah. I didn't like the fact that I was told when most of my victories didn't count as solo victories because I used a spirit in the boss fight.
Okay, who the fuck is saying that?
You don't want to know. Anyway.
No, I think I already know. I think I already know who they are, and all I can say is anyone who thinks that, get the fuck out. Like get your head out of your ass because I'm risking because it's so far up there. You're at risk of choking on it.
Yeah, because that was how I got my first solo victory against Melania. I needed to have some help, so I used the mimic tier to give me an extra, and it was a.
Okay, all right. Here's a question: how? Because I tried using a spirit for Melania first time I fought her. I gave up after like 3 goes because it just made her more. It just made her tougher.
Well, I think it's because it had a lot of my abilities. It meant that much of my arcane abilities meant that she was staggered a lot more than usual. So as a result,
yeah. The reason why I didn't use her during the fight is because she heals with every hit.
Yeah.
That eventually, if it just gives her another target, essentially.
I think
that's not why I found it easier to just fight her by myself.
I think if you see the video Calvin versus Melania, you'll be very evident that I got such dumb luck in that fight, for my eventual victory. Reese,
I think there are certain spirits I know that you can use that are actually good at, like for instance, what is it? One of the Black Knife spirit summons reduces her max health.
Yeah, Black Knife Tish.
Black Knife Tish.
Well,
Yeah.
you have the right spirit for the right time could definitely do a good job. Like that jellyfish makes a mincemeat of Murgit in the first, if you get that one early.
It's Margit, by the way.
Margit, sorry.
Not Murgit.
Sorry, I'm so bad at some of these pronunciations. Reese, how do you feel about the spirits? Because we haven't really got your opinion on them yet.
I think spirits are fine, but they do fall off hard when you do multiple new game pluses, because the spirits don't scale to the boss's damage, so they probably just get one shot.
Yeah, that is very much a point.
Yeah. So spirits are useful on your first couple of playthroughs, but then they drop off hard.
At the same time, though, my thought is if you're going through that many new game pluses, the game probably would expect you to get good enough to not really need the spirits. In all fairness, that's just my thought on it.
Yeah, once you get to that point, it's kind of like, okay, now's the time you need to start working on changing up your gameplay.
Like, even, for example, when it comes to Dark Souls 3, when it came to, when I did my first new game plus on that, it was, like, way easier than normal new game. Like, I managed to get to Irithyll Dungeon in 3 hours.
I'm looking...
During that, which I like to know is insanely fast.
I am looking forward, though, to the idea... one of the things I like about the game, though, is... the lore behind it is very interesting. It's a very interesting world that they built on. Obviously, George R.R. Martin has been a part of this one, although he said in interviews what his contribution to it was. He created the history that takes place. I think it was like 500 or 1,000 years.
He basically, if I remember, what some FromSoft basically do is. They usually design the gameplay and make the lore around that. This time they did it the opposite way around. But luckily, the history that Martin made was like pretty much exactly what FromSoft normally did, so it wasn't really much of an issue.
Well, yeah, but
so he wrote everything that was the Shattering and before.
Yes, and in fact, it's actually kind of interesting that his contribution is the cover picture for the box art.
Yeah.
It's one of the things he's very good at that sort of thing. Like, you remember with Game of Thrones, he basically did that before he started. He created that history prior to that, the writing A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
So he had that whole history to build off, and then went, okay, now I've built this history. Now I'm going to tell the story I want to tell based on that history. What?
I mean, that is basically what a lot of writers do. They do like design the world and the history before really diving into the story.
Yeah. It's I think there's a certain sense. I might be wrong on this one, but I think Jeff Johns did that when he was taking over writing Green Lantern, because he wanted to really redesign the Green Lantern storylines and the mythos in his own way, and he obviously did a very good job because he introduced all these different other aspects to the lore. Although in that case, that's a retcon rather than developing a new story. DC Comics, retcons are our business.
DC Comics. What do you mean that's retconned?
That's how it feels reading DC Comics right now. I will say one thing about Elden Ring, though. I am so glad it never got a cloud version on Switch.
I think even the cloud version would have been possible, if I'm being entirely honest.
What would a cloud version?
Well, cloud versions mean that you have to be connected to they're streamed games, essentially. You connect to these, and it was streamed. Like, the Switch is getting a few of these now with games that can't quite make it on the console. So they've had it with Control and the Resident Evil remakes and Hitman.
Every Kingdom Hearts game.
Every Kingdom Hearts game for some fucking reason.
Which they
they
might well release Elden Ring on the next console that comes out.
I don't think there's a point at that time. I mean, it's one thing. You have to get the right studio for doing the down.
I mean, I mean, you say that they actually no, never mind. I was gonna say they did put on Dark Souls Remaster, but that came out like day and day with the other consoles. It's
No,
just up for remaster.
no, it
And
didn't.
also, it's not a particularly hard game to run, I don't think, as Dark Souls Remastered, not on the Switch.
Which is surprising.
But from what it pretty much just plays like the original Dark Souls game.
Which is surprising considering that it took like 7 months after after it came out on PS4 and Xbox One. It was quite delayed. It was meant to come out in like April and it ended up coming out in October.
Yeah,
it never really looked like a remaster.
But it was originally meant to come out like day and day.
Yeah, it was. It just didn't quite make it. I don't understand why it took that. I mean, obviously, it worked great at launch, so it wasn't as if it was a massive fail on that part. I mean, I've got it along with my Solaire amiibo. The thing about it for me though is if they did decide to bring Elden Ring to whatever hardware comes next, you're going to need a very good team to do the downscaling process to bring it onto that console. Because let's be honest, Witcher 3, they did make it onto Switch, but that was a hell of a process to get it to work on the Switch natively.
And also, The Witcher 3 does still have loading screens between the other continents, like the Viking one.
Skellige.
That's it. Thank you.
So,
like you can't just walk from Valen straight to there. You have to go through a loading screen on a boat. Whereas Elden Ring is completely open. There's loading screens.
That's going to be very, very hot. I mean,
the only way I can really see it working is if they like lessen the draw. Is there's like a lot more draw distance, for example.
Well, another interesting. Well, the thing is, you say there's no real loading screens, but there are a few loading areas which they just do a very good job of covering up that it's a loading area. For example, that really long tunnel when you go down to sort of like the underground area for the first time. That's obviously that is the game loading the other big environment. It's just doing it in a very clever way.
The difference is that's not entirely it's not fully a loading screen. Basically, it basically like has a certain time limit that you can go down. If you did that with a Switch, the tunnel will be way longer.
Yeah, exactly. So on that note, I think we need to talk about the bosses, because that's always some of the biggest aspects of things we take away from these games. So, what was everyone's favorite boss fight in the game?
Morgoth the Omen King.
You're going for Morgoth the Omen King. Reese, what do you think?
To avoid spoilers, I'm going to say Hulk Hogan.
Him. He's a fun one. I think we could get away with talking about spoilers. It's been a year.
This is a year. We're doing a spoiler-filled one. So, I'm assuming you meant
Godfrey,
Elton Lord. I can see why you called him Hulk Hogan.
Especially with Phase 2.
Does he look more or less like Hulk Hogan than Dixon from Xenoblade Chronicles?
Yes.
I can't tell which one looks more like Hogan. They should have a. Ren, your favorite boss fight?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'd say probably Rykard.
Rykard is a good one.
I would agree, but if I remember, he's the one who transforms into. Oh no, that's Radigan I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Radigan.
Which one's Rykard again?
The Elden Beast.
The snake. The snake is Rykard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, him. Yeah, I'm not massive on him. I'm not massive on him if I'm being honest. Because like he's a spectacle, yeah, but it's basically the same as Yorm the Giant, where you don't really fight him. You get a weapon to like deal massive damage to him, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah,
it's not quite as easy as Yorm, I wouldn't say.
It's
not as easy as Yorm, but I just definitely still feel like that kind of thing. I'd rather fight him with my own weapon rather than having to find a specific weapon to fight with him with, even if it is in the boss arena, to be honest.
What about here it feels very similar to that storm themed one from Demon's Souls. That's another example of one of those ones.
Yeah, the difference is with that one, that boss fight, because it's in the air, it makes sense to use a Storm Ruler because the attack you use with the Storm Ruler is a ranged one.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you can also use a bow for that one. And as a matter of fact, as it turns out, bow actually does more damage than the Storm Ruler does.
Now you tell me. I think my pick is I can't say Melania, despite the fact in terms of the story and the spectacle, she's probably my favorite, but she is frustrating as hell. I think I'd therefore have to go. No, I'm not gonna do Radahn because he took away 6 hours of my life the first time.
Radahn is great.
No, Radahn's great. He's my second favorite.
I would say Radahn. Maybe he's a comparable to Rykard in that he's a cinematic boss in many regards.
I mean, honestly, if I remember correctly, Radahn's a lot of people's favorite boss in Elden Ring.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like when the Democracy did a ranking for best bosses, he ended up winning.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I quite like actually is because he's a challenge, but he's not too challenging. Is the one you fight in the not Godfrey, the one you fight in the underground tower. The blood Moog. That's it, Moog.
Oh no, he's very challenging.
Oh right, Moog. Yeah, he's fun.
Yeah, I would say he's a real challenge. He give me a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but if you have the right thing in your vial, you know, that one that actually prevents blood loss.
Yeah,
What he makes mincemeat of that attack that he tries on you
Well,
I didn't do that because I was doing the guts build and I was sticking with the guts build. Hence why I didn't do what the rest of you probably did with Melania and change weapons. Yeah, I said just added the frost element to my sword.
I think I ended up beating over Bleed in the end.
I mean, so far we've actually really only talked about the demigods at the minute. I mean, the only one we haven't mentioned is Raya Lucara.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what's the name?
Renala.
That's it. Rani.
Rani's mum. Yeah.
Yes. Rani's mum has got
it going on.
Rani's mum.
Especially because she's barefoot like Cal likes.
Oh, shut up.
Rani, can't you see you're just not the girl for me?
I'm sorry, there's no... after what we've seen of the fan art on Elden Ring, there is no one... Elden Ring fans saying that, because Rani seems to be everyone's favourite. I mean, she topped... the list for what ending everyone goes for the most.
Yeah.
It's probably...
I mean, the main reason I went for her ending was because I was doing her quest. Because I needed Blythe's armor for my build.
In terms of actual...
I just thought, I might as well get that ending.
Hers is the most different as well. Like, the other ones just seem to be like a different colour to the Erd tree.
Yeah, each one is just, you sit on a different throne. Hers is like the world goes... We're making the world black, basically.
Yeah. And then Chaos is you get a giant flaming head,
which is my first ending, Chaos, because I didn't
first ending.
Yeah. Even though I think that's like the lore-wise, that's the worst one.
Probably between that and Bum Eater, Dung Eater,
which I did work to do Dung Eater's quest line.
The loathsome Dung Eater.
You can't put that in the intro and not say, right, I need to know what the fuck that's about. It's
actually, if I remember, the Dung Eater's ending is one of the bad ones as well.
Yeah. You don't say. Do you know one of my favorite...
who am I kidding? It's a Souls game. All the endings are bad in some way.
Cal was more just intrigued. He was like, eating shit. That sounds like a good idea.
My hero.
He does what I do on a Friday night.
And how does one attain this ending?
So
is it possible to learn this power?
Screw all of you. I think I think though that quest line was a bit annoying because you had to keep running into that sewer area and running past all those fuckers that can sort of kill you in a couple of hits.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I didn't do it.
But it's worthwhile in the end, even though the armor you get is shit.
Which it's actually one of the best armors in the game.
I know, but it's only great if you're doing a strength build.
Yeah.
But the thing for me with with all those endings was it did sort of artificially lengthen the game a little bit for me, even though you could get a bunch of them in one playthrough.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that with like most of the endings in like the games since Bloodborne.
Yeah, that's true. I'll agree though.
Like trust me, trust me, the getting the hollow ending in Dark Souls 3, that at the time I thought, okay, this is going quite far.
What's the hollow ending? How do you get that?
It is basically like you just go down a massive quest line that continues until I believe up until Irithyll of the Boreal Valley.
Right.
I will say that I think this one has some of my favorite side quests, if I'm honest. Like, some of the side quests in this game are really good.
Yeah.
It's side quests are pretty much the same as like most Souls games, though, if I'm being honest, like mostly Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, they're all incredibly out the way.
Like, I don't think, like, I'm not sure if I would say any of these are my favorite in like any Souls game, because like Sigma's in Dark Souls 3 is really good, for example.
Yeah.
No, Sigurd, sorry. Sigma is the one from Dark Souls 1.
I like the side quest in Sekiro for the maiden whose father's become like a noble, feeding the fish, or she's feeding the fish or something like that. Do you remember that one, Elliot?
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, there's a few good ones in that.
Okay, I've got to go on to it now. We'll go on to Melania in a minute, but
It's their own section.
non-Melania worst boss that we faced, or most infuriating boss.
Well, Melania isn't even my least favorite boss. Actually, looking back at it, I think I actually quite like her now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. After you beat her, you kind of like, yeah, that
I like
was
her
worth
first
it.
phase. I don't like that fucking shadow clone jutsu.
Oh, the shadow clone thing. Yeah, that's right.
Least favorite boss. Yeah, gotta be Godskin.
You going for the Godskin duo?
Least favorite, interesting.
Reese?
The Elden Beast for me.
Oh, Elden Beast, all right.
Ren?
I don't know. It's a toughie again. The one I had the least fun with was probably. I've got to say Melania, but not Melania. Come back to me.
Okay, well, I'd say pre-patch it was the Godskin duo, but
Yeah.
post-patch, Commander Niall.
Ah, no, I like that. I like that boss.
He's fucking infuriating. Everything
No, like
about him pisses me off.
I generally like him.
Right, he summons two two things at the beginning that are really difficult to deal with if you don't have the Mimic tier. He then does that stupid Blizzard attack that means, I can't attack him up close. I'll attack him from a distance. Oh wait, he doesn't let me do that either. Just let me attack you at some point. Have a cooldown period.
Oh no, again, I like him. Like, honestly, I beat him on my second try. No, third try, sorry.
God, no, there's no boss other than him, and other than Melania, I'd say, and Godskin Duo, there was no other boss in the game that gave me so much stress.
Honestly, I thought the version of him in Caelid was worse.
Really? No, I found Niall way worse. I mean,
yeah, the reason why was because at least with Niall, you only had to fight like two of them rather than like the multitude you had to fight in Caelid. In Caelid, you are more likely to face that guy under leveled than you are the other one.
I kind of ran through Niall when I first encountered him in the Consecrated Snowfield. I'm going to revise my previous statement. I think it's probably the Gargoyle twins. Fuck them, man.
Oh yeah.
Those ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that one wasn't great.
Again, I didn't mind that one.
Elliot, your
I
one...
did. I generally didn't mind that one. I thought that one was all right.
Elliot, your one was the Godskin Duo. They are.
Yeah.
They are a badly, even with the patch, there is a large aspect to them that is a badly designed boss.
I wouldn't say it's badly. I wouldn't say it's badly designed. The biggest issue I have with it is that they keep respawning. Like you have to fight multiple of them. You don't just have to fight those two.
Yeah, it's also the fact
and
that,
I just wasn't a big fan of it, really.
And it's also the fact that neither of them are like. There's usually when they do a dual boss in one of these games, it was usually like one of them has a certain weakness that means that they can't just they can't just both double team you constantly. Pre-patch, even pre-patch, they could double team you so easily, and you would have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do about it. They went full Tenacious D, and
also the main thing to bring up, they do input read as well, which is way worse pre-patch.
And I actually said in our Civ group, when I was looking for advice, I said with this boss, you'd actually, I reckon pre-patch, I reckon it was impossible to beat this boss with a strength build. Post-patch,
I mean, I would have tried it. I would have tried it anyway, but
yeah,
I wasn't able to.
It was the boss that made you
because again, I was busy looking after puppies. Thanks, Ripley, for getting pregnant around then.
Oh, you love her, really.
Yeah.
Reese, you did actually respec your build for the Godskin duo.
Now, it's probably my own fault having only a vitality of around 20 at this time.
Yeah, you are known. Yeah, like, granted, I had vitality of like 30, but like every build I see, like the final recommended number for vitality is around 50.
That is a constant complaint I see on the subreddit. People saying your vitality is just minuscule.
You need, like, trust me, you always need to like put a lot into vitality when it comes to these games.
Well, I beat every other boss before that with 20 vitality and under, so it wasn't an issue.
So until vitality if you don't get hit.
Exactly.
Don't you do the let me solo her business. It's actually kind of funny because the Elden Beast actually does give you a right challenge because he just fucking teleports over half the map, and then there's loads of great ranged attacks to fuck you up.
It's not even that it's a satisfying boss, particularly more that it's just gimmicky.
Out of all the Souls final bosses in Souls games I have fought, he is the worst.
Yeah, one thing that really annoyed me was not having access to torrents. When you did for all the other massive bosses like Fire Giants and
Raikar,
Radahn.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that foul area, you can't use torrents, even though thematically it would be a good send-off.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't... like, everyone talks about how they use torrent with the Fire Giant. I didn't. I honestly found it easier without torrent.
Likewise.
Just because, well, with torrent, it's more difficult to dodge the attacks more than anything. Like, like against Radahn as well, I just used torrent to like avoid the arrows and get to him. After that, it was all on foot.
Yeah, I don't get people who said that they use torrent for Radahn because you need to be able to dodge the sword strikes.
Yeah, you need to be able to dodge them. Like,
I've never beaten Radahn without torrent. I can't do it.
Like, I never understood how. I never understood how people found it easier with torrent than without.
I couldn't get to the support team in time. I couldn't dodge in time because he's got way too fast of an attack. I tried. I didn't use torrent in the initial area when he's firing the arrows. I got the support.
No, that's when I do use torrent.
No, basically, I get a few of the support characters, get to the final sort of thing before he's going to fire bigger arrows. Then I get on torrent, get right up to the thing, and do the rest of the fight.
No, like I just because I remembered exactly where all of the summon signs are. I just grabbed all of them and just ran straight to him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think one criticism that I remember you had, Elliot, and I've seen a few people had with it, is that there's too many mini bosses that are just repeated or sort of like juiced up versions of normal enemies that you fight.
Yeah, that's kind of what makes me very mixed on the bosses because the individual ones, the unique ones, are very good in my opinion. Like one of the reasons why I say my favorite boss is Morgott, despite the fact he is just basically look a lot like Margit, is because he's not just Margit again. He has a very different moveset.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really similar is the general design of him. And I think that kind of is the idea of it. Basically, it's sort of like as a comparison, it's like Gundyr in Dark Souls 3. Like Inuit's Gundyr versus Champion Gundyr, they are both look very similar but are very different bosses.
That's a pretty good way of putting it, to be honest.
Can I do a counter argument to Elden Beast being the most annoying final boss? Because I want to add the final boss of Demon Souls in the mix, and I mean the actual final boss, not that shitty one that they give you at the end for saying you've won.
The guy who steals your levels.
Yes, that.
No,
fucker.
that I like that boss. A lot of people really like that boss though. That's like a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, I did beat him on my first attempt in the PS5 version, but God, it was sucked when he took my levels. He took 6 levels off me in one fight.
That he's the only. I just lost 38,000 runes. That's like the only one to boss in the entire series to do that.
Yeah, that one's. I'm so glad they never brought. Along with the what's the other mechanic they put in Demon Souls that's really shit? The one that makes everything stronger if you go back there.
World tendencies.
Oh, world tendencies.
I'm so glad they ditched that post Demon Souls as well. That is that made some of the environments impossible.
Yeah, that's a very mixed mechanic, if I remember. I think a lot of people do. There are some people who do enjoy it, but there are also some who aren't really a big fan.
Are they sadomasochists?
They're Souls fans.
Can I add?
Yes.
Ren also found one of the best Reddit groups I've ever seen, which is basically took Elden Ring characters, put them in Simpsons scenes.
Oh yeah, no, that was just a series of art someone had made. It's just incredible.
So I do like the fact with the dung eater, you ugly hate-filled man. Hey, I may be ugly and hate-filled, but what was the third thing you said? I think, though, we have to talk about Melania, Blade of Mikola, and she has never known defeat. I mean, we all knew we were going to face her at some point because she was the figurine you got in the collector's edition.
Yeah, which I've been saying for a long time. It's funny that the boss that they get that was a statue you got for the special edition is an optional one. That would be like with Dark Souls 3 if the one you got was the Nameless King.
And admittedly, she is kind of this game's equivalent of the Nameless King, of this legendary, ridiculously hard boss.
No, I wouldn't. I don't know if I compare it to the Nameless King.
Why?
I don't know.
She's almost kind of this own thing of herself, and of course, she has one of the worst mechanics in a Souls fight history. That every time she hits you, she gets some of her health back.
I think it's a wider problem with Elden Ring boss designers that they just overload kits unnecessarily. Like I think what made what's his name, Nameless King, really good is the delayed attacks, because that was kind of one of the Dark Souls has a history with that, but with Melania and with Moog and with Margit and things like that, there are delayed attacks. With Godric, there's very delayed attacks, but it's like to the point of it being unbelievable. Like, why would you even delay an attack that long in a real situation? Not that bosses are like a real situation, but
I said before I don't really mind the delayed attacks, but it's more just because I think it's something quite different from most other Souls games.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I'd say it's a lot more prominent with bosses in Elden Ring, and it's meant to kind of artificially increase the difficulty. But Melania, why not give her all of these stupid abilities?
I mean, I wouldn't say it artificially makes it more difficult. I think it's just it works like most Souls bosses do. Like, you're meant to learn the boss patterns and whatnot. I think that's just an extra step.
Well, the thing is, we've all got solo victories against her, but as a result, I now would never solo fight her ever again. I would always get multiplayer help.
Yeah.
I would happily solo her again.
Yeah, I'd like to at some point.
The interesting thing is, after I get the victories, I always just put a multiplayer thing down and say, all right, I'm going to help everyone else out.
Yeah.
I think it's your duty to do so. If you did it with multiplayer help, you have to help other people out.
I didn't, which is why I don't.
So would we say Melania is the most annoying boss fight in Souls history, like some people are saying she is?
Yes, without a doubt, yes.
Yeah, not most difficult, but most annoying.
No.
I'm gonna go.
I'd say most difficult.
I'm gonna say most difficult. I'm not gonna say most annoying.
I'm gonna go with Elliot on that one. Because if she was most annoying, it would have been you wouldn't get that sense of satisfaction.
Who would you say is most annoying then?
The rotten the tree in Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3.
Oh, really? Yeah, that one sucks.
Yeah, because you have to like explode certain bits of it, and it just gets really tedious after a while, especially because some of them are on like limbs that are in the air. It's so annoying. It's just And also, she's not even my second most annoying boss. I will go Mikalash.
Yeah, Mikolash sucks.
Yeah.
Can I also add the Man-Eater from Demon Souls? That one's really fucking annoying.
Yeah, that's quite difficult.
Because there's no reason for it to be on a fucking ledge that it's going to knock you off very easily.
I don't remember that one, honestly.
It's the one in the Magic Academy when you're going up all those towers, and it's the one that duplicates itself halfway through the fight, so you now have to fight two of them.
What about Bed of Chaos?
Oh, that one. I thought that a lot of people liked that one, though.
They might
a lot
like
of people's favorite.
What about Bed of Chaos?
Bed of Chaos sucks.
Oh, Bed of Chaos is just a... Actually, no. Bed of Chaos is easily just the worst fight in the entire series. Not because it's annoying, but just because it doesn't even use Soulsborne mechanics. You're not even testing your skills against it. It's literally just avoiding attacks and making sure you don't fall into holes.
That being said, I think Millennia might be one of my favorite character designs ever. Like, I love the design of the character. I love the effort they put into making her look badass.
Simp.
Is it because she's got molded toes in the boots, Kel?
Shut up.
Is it because she's naked in the second phase?
Oh, god damn it. What?
She does have a very good character design. I'd say the same is true of all bosses in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Oh, Elden Ring has some fantastic boss designs. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I love Placiduous. I think he's one of the best.
One of the best things about beating the game for me was I was able to.
I say my favorite boss design has to be Godric.
Godric has a cool
he's
design.
great.
Like, he just looks so cool.
I think one of my favorite.
He also has, like, in my opinion, the best lines in the game.
And voice acting some of it.
I love. I want to say Rykard. I think has one of my favorite boss designs because he looks pure evil.
It reminds me very much of when you fight the ape in Sekiro and the second phase.
Yeah, him. Yeah, when like the second phase, you lob up your head, it's just like no.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone was expecting you beat the snake and then that's it. But the reveal, it's so grotesque and it's so like, what the fuck?
How he just pulls a sword out of his throat.
Yeah. Like,
I'm just like, okay, someone's definitely been reading Berserk.
It's 100% someone's fetish.
Simon Gregor did a brilliant job voicing him as well.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the other
Actually, here's something fun for you lot. Do you want to speak of the voice actors? Do you want to know something I learned quite fun?
What?
You know the guy who did the kitchen gun skit?
Oh yeah.
He voices someone in Dark Souls 2.
What's the kitchen gun?
Have you not seen that?
Doesn't ring a bell.
I've seen it. I know what he's on about. Yeah.
I thought everyone has seen the kitchen gun skit.
I will say I mean, the one that everyone kind of went on about was the fact that Amy Fionn Edwards is in the game, and she's the voice of. So she's the voice of Rani in Elden Ring, but she's also the voice of Mio in Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah.
AKA the only role that you care about her for.
Oh no! The weird thing is, she's doing the exact same voice for both characters. She's just doing a different candor on each one.
It's so funny. From one game to the other.
It's just every time someone brings up Rani, it's just like, did you know her voice actor's also in Xenoblade?
I really love the amount of Welsh accents in the game and Welsh names.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's I think there was a very deliberate reasons to do that. I think it was particularly considering how much the Norse mythology and people from Scandinavia affected Wales.
Well,
I think especially part of that is because of George R. R. Martin.
And I think
because like when you look at Song of Ice and Fire, because every tale those were based off real. A lot of those things were based off real events.
I think isn't what's the name of the guy who makes Souls games? What's his name?
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki's
Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Somewhere that he's got like a special place in his heart for Wales for whatever reason.
Yeah. From what I remember, and this is also a big inspiration for the Souls series as well. He was like a big fan of like medieval sort of books based around like I think medieval or historical fiction things, like because he used to have like books that were written in English, but he would just look at the pictures.
Actually, that's reminded me of one of the best things when this game was being built up and we had no information about it. And they did that thing. Ren told me about this. I think it was on Reddit or Instagram. It was the person who every day that there wasn't new Elden Ring information, they lowered the contrast of the picture of him by 1% or something.
Yeah, it was to make him go hollow.
Oh, that was it. Yes.
One of the other things, that was done on there was beating Ishin the Sword Saint, so the final boss of
Second, yeah, I remember
Sekiro,
that.
every single
was
day
rad.
on the highest possible difficulty, like with various different challenges every single day until we got new information about Elden Ring. Absolutely mental.
I mean, you say that's so that means he has to have played through the entire game every day. Pretty much.
Yeah, I think at some point they introduced like a challenge mode. I'm not 100% on that.
I don't
I
think.
don't think they did.
Oh shit! Yeah, there's a way. Oh shit! Yeah, I remember. There's a way for you to like go back and fight every boss again.
But otherwise, I guess he would have maybe speedrun it or just returned back to the save.
I mean, it is. I don't know. It is very possible, like, for you to beat a Souls game in like 3 hours.
I mean,
yes.
I remember a YouTuber I watched, Zero Lenny, does that quite often.
That being
Like
said,
when he did his hitless challenge for Elden Ring, his playthrough was like 3 hours.
Oh my god.
Well, the current speed world record for glitchless Elden Ring is now under an hour.
Glitchless Elden Ring.
Yeah. From start to finish, no glitches, under an hour.
That's crazy.
oh, hitless.
No, glitchless.
Yeah, hitless. What do you think I said?
You don't want to know what I think you said.
Do you think I said bitchless?
No, worse.
Maidenless.
Yeah.
No, I made it. But anyway,
He made a severe and continuous lapse of his judgment, and he is sorry.
yes, exactly.
That's why we're here today.
So
Cancel him.
stop.
Calvinist Logan Paul confirmed.
Stop trying to get me cancelled. Anyway,
So what do we think about updates having been implemented, such as the arena PvP stuff?
well, that's the only major one that really has happened, other than sort of like patches to fix various things. I.e., make every way I like to play the game almost weaker.
Yeah, again, it's balancing the game.
Yeah, go with the program, Cal.
You need to understand every Souls game, when Souls game launches, there's always a bunch of broken mechanics that they have to fix down the line.
Okay, so moving on with that one. I kind of like the arena, but I got bored of it quite quickly, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's not that rewarding once you've done it a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly just for people who do like play these games a lot for PvP, which like there's a lot of people who do like play Souls games mostly for the PvP.
I personally don't get that, but each to their own.
I mean, people like it. What can I say? I've done it a few times on Dark Souls 3. I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, the first time I got onto the arenas, they were quite good, particularly when it was like 4 people in one match. Or 6 people in one match. That was pretty good.
The main draw of Souls games for the majority of people has been PvE, and I think having PvP aspects to it is never bad.
Again, there is like a pretty big PvP community when it does come to the Souls games.
Yes, and they're a dedicated bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I've been tempted a couple of times with this game. Well, I know at some point with this game I'm going to like try doing the PvP build.
Do it.
I feel like though with it, with Elden Ring, have they taken too long with like updates, like significant updates, considering you kind of need to strike while the iron's hot?
I don't really think so. You need to remember, like, it did take the other Souls games quite a bit of a while to get these updates. Like, for example, the PvP arena in Dark Souls 3, that we didn't get that until the Ashes of Ariandel DLC.
Yeah, there was Can I also ask on this one now, before we go into the I'd say the final portion of the topic? How would we rank Elden Ring with the other Soulsborne Ekiro games?
Well, I'll start. Actually, I'll go last, seeing as I'm the Souls fan.
Yeah, Reese, you can't really be in this one because you don't play these games. Ren, where would you rank it?
It's hard. I'd say probably. I mean, okay, so ones I've actually played, I've properly played Bloodborne, properly played Sekiro, properly played Elden Ring, kind of played Dark Souls 1 and 2, and a little bit of Demon Souls. Haven't played enough of them to make a real assessment. I would say I don't know. Can I just put them all on a level with each other? I think they're all amazing for different reasons.
Oh, that's such a cop out.
I know, but that's the thing.
Yeah, let him have it. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Yeah, but we're going to be here all day if we try to get him to say one, and he's going to go back on it in like a week. I would say I put Elden Ring right at the top for me.
Well, you've only played 3 games.
I played Bloodborne. I played Dark Souls. I've played Dark Souls 3. I've played Demon Souls. I've played a bit of Sekiro.
How many of them have you beaten?
Demon Souls. Nearly beaten Bloodborne. I'm still working my way through that.
Dang it. Last time I heard of you on Bloodborne, you were saying you were still struggling on Bloodstained Beast.
That one was not. That one did really put me off the game. That one, I don't like the Bloodstained Beast.
I love the Bloodstained Beast. He's a fun boss.
You can get consumables to throw at it. By the way, Cal.
I know. I ran out of them.
As I said before, the main strategy to go with: Blood Beast pellets, fire paper, and a lot of antidotes.
I ran out of fire paper.
Then grind some more.
Grind.
And that was like, oh god, I've got to grind for like hours to buy.
Oh no,
paper.
playing Souls games.
How many times
What's that like?
How many times do you think I had to grind for blood vials?
Fine, fair play, but the reality I'm going with is I'll say the one I like the least though is the one I'll never beat, Sekiro. It doesn't click with me. I know it's a great game. It's really well designed. It just doesn't click with me.
Meanwhile, as I said, what has my favorite combat system of any game, in my opinion.
Yeah, agree.
It is just so much fun.
It's outstanding.
It is. I will say, if you get that combat system down, it's really fun. But I also remember, Ren, you were nearly pulling your hair out when you were playing it when you lived with me.
Yes.
Elliot,
mainly on stream actually.
Yeah.
You all saw that, I think.
Oh yes, I remember that. Elliot, where would you rank Elden Ring in the list?
Well, I might as well just rank all of them. So, bottom to top, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls, Sekiro, Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, Bloodborne.
Okay, actually, Can I ask, with Demon Souls, are we saying that's both the original and the PS5 remake?
Yes, because they are pretty much the same game.
I would say the PS5 remake does improve on a few things that give it good.
But when you look at everything with it, it is mostly the same game.
Yeah, I know. There are some
it even has a bunch of janky shit that was in the original Demon Souls.
Yeah, I really wish they'd actually not kept some of the janky shit in there, considering how much improved. It's the same thing.
A lot of people like the janky stuff. Like a lot of people say it's their favorite Souls game.
I think for me, the reason I like Elden Ring is it's the one that I felt not only felt the most accessible and the most customizable about however you want to play, you can find a way to have fun. It was also the fact of it was the one that felt the most fun to go through, because if there was like an area that was too strong, it was a case of, oh well, it's much more easier than other games to go off and do something else, particularly if you went from Bloodborne to that. Like, Bloodborne is really not great if you're stuck at a boss.
Oh, no, I just kept grinding it out. I just kept fighting it until I beat it.
I remember, Reese, though, you said Elden Ring didn't make your top... it did make your top 5 games of 2022. Do you think... what do you think the legacy of Elden... from a non-fan perspective, how do you think Elden Ring felt coming into this with not much of experience in this gameplay style?
I think it was really good. It's drastically improved from my first review, because I wrote that review after my first playthrough, before they did a bunch of patches to fix some of the issues I wrote about. Like, multiplayer at launch was just straight broken. And a lot of people complained about that.
Yeah, multiplayer was not great at launch. They have improved it significantly.
Yeah, and then bunch of stuff like it's easier to track side quests on maps, because you get an icon now on the map where that NPC is. Whereas originally, you had no idea.
Yeah.
I will say...
I did say that was kind of a thing in Dark Souls, but at the same time, Dark Souls wasn't quite as massive.
Yeah, and there's also no reason not to evolve past issues like that, really.
Okay.
Just because it worked in the past doesn't mean it can't be improved in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, though, the success it's achieved, to me, does feel deserved and earned.
Yeah.
Especially considering it led to the thing about it winning the Game Award was, and I think this would have happened no matter who it was the prankster getting on stage.
Oh yeah, the Bill Clinton is my rabbi kid.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I dedicate this award to my unorthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton.
Yeah, interesting.
That was mad. Like, that's the thing. I feel like that bit almost stole it from Elden Ring. That moment from Elden Ring. Because like that was what people were talking about the day after.
Do you know what I found amazing? Jason Schreier actually got an interview with him the day after it happened. Apparently, because a lot of people saying afterwards they thought it was anti-Semitic, but apparently he is.
No.
Apparently
what?
they were worried that it was. Apparently he actually is. The kid is actually Jewish, even though he's denied it in the same phone call because Schreier said something to him in Hebrew and he did respond to it.
Thing is, that's actually the first. That's not actually the first time he's done something like that. He's been a prankster for like a good while.
Yeah, he's done a few things like this apparently, but I think that they're gonna have to up their security for next year because we're all laughing about it now, but that could have been a lot different if he had been someone else.
Yeah, with very different intentions.
But that being said, it was so funny seeing all the pictures in the newspapers where they were showing him getting the award, and it had to sort of blank him out in the most terrible Photoshop you've ever seen.
I think my favorite meme was him painted red and saying invaded and saying blank has just invaded.
Yeah, that was always great. Those ones. I think the final topic has to be though the DLC coming next year. Well, I'm assuming it's coming next year. I think it's going to come because. I think the fact they didn't show a trailer for this suggests to me it's not that far along, but they're letting us know they have the intention of giving us this significant DLC.
Well, they only announced that it's in development, so I think it would have been waiting for something like a trailer.
No. I don't think it's that far back. I think it's more February, March of next year. We'll see this. This will come out. We'll see a trailer for it by the end of 2023. I think.
Yeah.
It's called Shadow of the Erd Tree. So, where do you think it's going to take place? Because I think they're going to have to create another map for this, considering that the map we have right now is pretty much almost fully explored.
No, there's a shitload of mist around the periphery.
Yeah.
And there's also two main theories as well with it, because we see the character on the horse with Torrent. A lot of people say that is Mikola.
Yeah.
Pre-gigantification.
Well, Mikola is kind of.
So maybe something a lot of people think is gonna do a lot like what they did with the Artorias of the Abyss DLC with Dark Souls 1, where basically you just went back in time.
Yeah, that's one main theory. The other one is going into Mikola's dream while he's still in the egg.
So we go so we go full Inception on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna be entirely honest. I'm not coming up with expectations, and partly because I know that nothing I think of will really make much of an impact, because you never know with like these Souls like DLCs. They are very difficult to predict what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
And like especially with Elden Ring, like what are they going to do? Like, how big is it going to do? Are they just going to do something like what they did with the Ring City, where they just make a couple new sort of areas? Are they going to make like another giant map?
Yeah,
like,
there's so much possible content.
Like, you don't know. Like, this game is much more difficult to really speculate on than other Souls-likes, and even then, those are really difficult to speculate.
Yeah, they could go a lot of ways with this.
Because pretty much the thing we've got at the minute is the old data mine stuff when they first put it into the codes. So stuff like a bunch of weapons have been found, and flags for 40 bosses have been found in the code. So the thing's going to be substantial.
If there's 40 bosses, I'm going to make this assumption there's going to be another DLC.
Yeah.
I don't see them adding that many bosses in just one DLC. I feel like there's going to be another one down the line.
Yeah, if they're adding 40 bosses, I would expect them to charge the price they go full Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on it and charge the amount for another full game. What were you going to say, Ren?
I don't think I was going to say anything.
Sorry, it does seem like you were trying to get something out there. I will say with the that's the other thing. I think Elliot's theory is more accurate, though. I think we're going to get more DLC for quite a while, because The only other project we know from FromSoft is doing is Armored Core 6.
Yeah.
And obviously that's going to be a very different game, a very different team, but I feel like they could actually just keep adding to Elden Ring for a little while before they want to do their next project.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like we're probably going to get like 2 DLCs. I don't really see us getting more than that because you can only really add so much to a game.
How much did they add to Bloodborne? How many did Bloodborne get?
1
DLC.
I thought I got 2.
No, it got 1. So basically what happened was Dark Souls got 1, Dark Souls 2 got 3, Bloodborne got 1, Dark Souls 3 got 2.
Right, I see.
And the problem is a lot of people did not like the DLC for Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, there was a lot of it,
especially with what's now been coined as Reindeer Fuckland.
Basically, imagine broken consecrated snowfields.
Oh God!
Yeah, basically, you just could not see in front of you at all in like one of the DLCs. Many people will say, yeah, the DLC in Dark Souls 2 just was not that good.
Sekiro did Sekiro ever get some? Because I don't recall it ever getting.
No, it didn't.
Because
at the same time, I feel like it would be with Sekiro is more difficult to add in DLC than with the other Souls games because with those games you could definitely tell the story is more in the lore. Sekiro definitely has a much more present story in it.
Yeah,
there were a lot of characters we weren't introduced to though. I mean, Tomoe would be a great example from Sekiro. I just think they're going to do a sequel. I don't think they'll do a DLC.
I don't even know if we'll get a sequel. I feel like if we do get something more like Sekiro, it'll be like a spiritual success. I don't think it'll be a continuation to the story.
It would be very surprising for me if they came up with such an amazing combat system and just didn't use it in another franchise.
I could actually.
Well, I mean, if you need an example, something that's like a Sekiro, Wulong Fallen Dynasty came out today. I played a little bit of that. There's a mechanic. One of the mechanics in that is very much reminiscent of the parry system from Sekiro.
Oh.
I mean, I'm downloading Wulong Fallen Dynasty at the minute. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but
I'm having fun with it. I'm gonna say that much. I'm enjoying it so far.
So it's the same team behind the 2 previous Neo games.
Oh right, that makes sense.
Except it's based in feudal China rather than Japan.
So okay, so the thing is though, it's quite hard to speculate on this DLC considering it's at the minute all we have to go on is an image.
Yes,
I mean, it didn't stop vastly.
Yeah, hence why I haven't really done that yet.
Yeah, but it didn't stop.
Don't really have any expectations from it.
I must be honest. I'm kind of just gonna wait on it. As soon as the trailer comes out, we'll obviously have more to talk about on it, and it will almost certainly come out in a trailer of a show that we watch, because that's going to have to be a big event. We're talking like a Summer Games Fest, an E3 show, maybe in the Game Awards again. I mean, it would come around very nicely 1 year later after winning Game of the Year. It's like, okay, now we're going to give you the trailer for the DLC.
I'm reminded. I was watching Vati videos from eons ago, so before Dark Souls 3 DLC came out, and he was speculating on, you know, the guy who you fight alongside Sister Fried, Elliot. Is it
Frida?
Alongside?
You fight alongside.
Yeah,
oh no, you think of Yorm?
No. You know the giant dude.
Oh yeah, him. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was speculating, saying that he could be Lloyd from Lloyd's Talisman, and it just made me think at the time, oh, if only you knew, because this character is just someone who hasn't really been discussed as far as
the thing is, at the same time, he at first thought that Solaire was the Gwyn's lost son.
Yeah, and
it turned out it really wasn't.
It's nice to speculate.
It was just some guy who liked the son.
And it's nice to speculate on these kind of things, but at this point we have nothing to go on other than it's like with Miquella, because Miquella's a glaring plot hole in the entirety.
Miquella's the one thing we keep hearing about Miquella, but we've not actually seen much of him.
No, just one arm.
Her, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's him.
It's Queen Miquella, not King Miquella.
No, Miquella's male.
Yeah, it's Millennium.
Wait, is it?
Melania's twin
it's
brother.
Marika's the queen.
Marika, yeah, fuck,
Marika's
that's
the
it. That's
queen.
right.
Mikola is Melania's twin brother.
Yes.
Who was cursed with eternal youth.
Although there's a possible, I mean, again, quoting Fatty here, but supposedly Mikola might be Saint Trina as well, and we get Saint Trina's lilies around, so it's possible that's like an alter ego.
I mean, that being said, I feel like Elden Ring DLC is a day one purchase for me. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, are you kidding me? I'm going to be spending as soon as it comes out. I'm going to be. I feel like I'm going to take time off work because a week off work just to play it.
All I'll ask Ren is, are you going to jump back on Elden Ring for stream when the DLC comes out, or am I taking over Elden Ring?
Oh, fucking bet. I miss sharing useless facts that no one cares about.
I'm absolutely doing it.
So are you gonna go? We'll have to look into how it's done before we do it, so we know whether you could do New Game Plus with Spaggy Bolvino, or if you have to launch before the Elden Beast fight.
It should be alright for.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be fine. If it's like any of the other Souls DLC, you just have to get to a certain area and then get straight into it.
Yeah, we just
like for example, with the Ashes of Ariandel DLC and Dark Souls 3, literally all you had to do was go to where the Deacons of the Deep are.
Okay, as I say, if it does require being past a certain area, we just don't do New Game Plus with Ren's character. But if we do have that, we just have to say don't. I don't think
it'll be that far in. And again, if it's New Game Plus, Ren will be more powerful anyway, so you'll like to get there quicker. Trust me, take this from experience. New Game Plus playthroughs always go way faster than just New Game ones.
Oh yeah, no, I can say that from experience. He's right.
Sure.
So, with all that being said, I mean, it was quite cool doing this 1 year later talk on the game that won Game of the Year. I mean, we might do this again for whatever wins Game of the Year this year, because it's probably going to be either Final Fantasy 16 or Tears of the Kingdom. I think those are the two games that'll be fighting out at the end of the year, unless Starfield comes out, in which case Starfield could easily be put into the conversation.
In which case, you likely won't have me joining it, because I don't even know if I'm going to play it yet.
Yeah, no, it's very clear that I'm reviewing Starfield at this point.
Yeah.
Incidentally, although I know, Ren, you're excited for Starfield.
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm more interested in it now, I think, definitely.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, as I keep saying, I've always been more interested in Bethesda single-player games. Or like non-open world games. Never really cared too much about their open world ones. I
mean, that being said, Microsoft could easily right now have another nominee for at the awards right now, because they have one of their best new IPs. With Hi-Fi Rush, they've released one of their best new IPs in years.
As I've already admitted, I do think it's a lot of fun, but I do kind of think Calvin overhyped it a little bit.
Oh no, I'm gonna say I really proper like Hi-Fi Rush.
I'll be honest. I think I definitely found some problems you probably didn't have an issue with. Like, for example, there's no lock-on button.
Yeah, that's a bit of an issue. I'll grant you on that one. I probably should have said that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I feel like if you're doing a hack and slash game, you need something like a lock-on button.
I think I did notice. Okay. All I'll say is, Elliot, once you get to the final few stages, it's when the game really comes into its own. You realize, wow, this is amazing.
Oh, so it's one of those kind of games. Look, I know it's tough right now, but trust me, it gets really good around hour 20.
No. I'd say it's more. I really liked it from the start, but I would say that's when the game hits its peak. It's to such an extent, actually, I don't actually really like the final boss all that much, despite the fact he's voiced by Sonic the Hedgehog. Seriously, it's Roger Craig Smith voicing Vandelay.
Oh.
Okay, so that was it for this time. We'll be back probably. Well,
we don't know.
We don't know when we're next back, but we do know that we're going to be having. We're going to be having our Anime Amigos, obviously, on March the 31st.
Yes.
If we're running, I mean, we probably will do a professional at some point in the meantime. If nothing else, the next professional will be around what we're speculating is going to be showing up at E3 and Summer Games Fest.
Well, since the big three aren't going to be there, probably not a lot.
I would say no.
Yeah, there's probably not much point in that. Let's be honest.
Plus, well, obviously there's going to be the PlayStation. That rumored PlayStation showcase is going to take place before E3, so we'll probably be covering that. And we're obviously going to cover whatever Nintendo does, because Nintendo will have a direct in June. They will have.
Let's just hope Calvin's expectations aren't as lofty as what he had for the Pokemon Presents.
No. In retrospect, I win a bit too high on that one because
a bit. You expected they were gonna announce like all the Game Boy Pokemon games.
I thought Red and Blue were coming. I did think Red and Blue were coming, but then I realized afterwards, no, that was a bad prediction because
I was honestly, but when you talk about it, I was half expecting you to go. Also, we're gonna get an XD Gale of Darkness remake. As much as I want one.
I'd so love them to remake Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, but
no, I want it. If anything, I want a new game in that region.
But
bring us another Orange game, damn it.
The reason why that was a dumb prediction was it would have been the only conversation point, and Pokemon Company wanted the conversation point to be we want everyone talking about Scarlet and Violet DLC.
Yeah. And also, let's be honest, if they were going to announce that was coming, we would have seen it when they announced the GBA and Game Boy and GBA coming to NSO.
No, I feel like, but I've noticed it.
Or at least show it in the games reel.
I actually looked at how many games there are to come to each of these systems, and one of the things I noticed was, it's kind of like if you looked at these like one a month, these games run out around July. It's like June is when the time will be up. So I imagine.
I don't know if we're gonna get one a month.
Well, we got this morning. We found out Metroid Fusion is coming to a Game Boy Advance in a couple of days. So if they are doing one a month, that would suggest that sort of time periods when they need new games.
Again, I don't know if they will. They didn't do that with N64, for example.
No, I think they'll get back.
It's normally seasonal. They do it.
No, N64. I think they are going back to a more regular schedule with N64 because. What I imagine is going to happen is, in the June Direct, we'll get the announcement, by the way, we got more stuff coming to NSO, and then you can have the big deal of Pokemon is coming to the system. If they want to bring it out this year, they might want to hold off on that one.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to hold off on it. I don't see it coming out. I don't see it coming out in June. I feel like we're going to get through all the games they showed before we get them.
No, honestly. I want to stress, I don't think it's coming out in June. I think we get the announcement that it's coming out. It's coming to the NSO in June.
They normally normally when they announce it, it's normally days before it comes out.
NSO. But you got to remember in the September Direct we had, here's a whole list of N64 games coming to NSO. So it's not like it's not something they haven't done before. And with that one, it was really done to say, by the way, GoldenEye is coming to NSO. So, as I say, we'll be back sooner rather than later. If nothing else, you're going to see us with Anime Amigos on the 31st of March. So, we'll see you then. Thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
Goodbye.